In this video, I have 3 budget cameras for you to start filmmaking. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, the Sony ZV-E10, and the high-end smartphone. Which of these 3 cameras should you choose? Let's find out together. Good morning everyone, my name is Dom and welcome back to the new season of Filmmaking Simplified, where we talk about everything related to filmmaking. In this video today, we're going to talk about the most burning question that everybody has when they want to start out in filmmaking. What is the best and cheapest camera to start making movies? Well, my fellow motion picture enthusiasts, this question is just as complicated as it is simple. Between these 3 cameras, I'm gonna do a comparison based on price value, practicality, and how much it satisfies your needs to start filmmaking. But before we get into these bad boys, I'd like to briefly touch on a few questions that you must ask yourself before you commit to buying a camera and begin your journey in filmmaking. Question number 1 is, how serious are you? It's a legit question. Is it something that you've been dreaming of in your entire life? You've always been interested in it? Or it's something that you became interested in recently? On what level are you planning on doing filmmaking? Is your goal to become a professional cinematographer? You only want to make YouTube videos? You want to become a director? Or you just want to take filmmaking as a hobby and see where it goes? And lastly, that's basically connected to the previous question, how much are you willing to commit yourself to filmmaking? It is really important because obviously it will determine how much you should spend on a camera, or should you spend money at all. And most importantly, how much time are you willing to invest into mastering this craft? Now we're gonna get into the cameras in a second. I know that's y'all are waiting for, but before we do that, I'd like to tell you the 3 categories that I based today's video on and the cameras that I'm going to be comparing to each other. And you will have to put yourself into one of these categories. Number 1. I'm very serious and I have quite a budget to spend on a camera. Number 2. I am very serious, but I'd rather spend less. And number 3. I'm interested, but I'm a bit scared to commit myself yet. Now, as you can see in all of these categories, the buyer, which is you, is somewhat interested, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. So now that you have chosen a category for yourself, let's get into the cameras. We're gonna begin with the 3rd category, which is for those of you that are interested in filmmaking but aren't sure whether or not they want to spend money on a camera. As an addition, I will also include those of you here that are very interested in filmmaking, ready to commit themselves to learning filmmaking, but don't have money to buy a camera right now. So the camera for this category is, drum rolls please, a smartphone. Yay, no money has to be spent at all. Now, it might sound like a cliche that all the filmmaking gurus, big professionals, YouTubers and filmmaking tell you all the time, and you're sick and tired of it. But it's true, you don't need a dedicated camera, let alone an expensive one. Now, if you have a good eye, you might have figured out my little evil plan to surprise you, but the footage that you've been watching for the past couple of minutes is coming out from an iPhone 14 Pro Max. So if you ask me to start out making videos and films, it's good enough. Of course, not all smartphones can record in the same quality, have the same video recording capabilities, but like I said, if you're just starting out, you don't know nothing about video and filmmaking, to learn the basics, a phone is good enough. And guess what? There are even dedicated film festivals for films that were made on a smartphone. So you can even make a name for yourself. Now take a look at these few clips that I collected for you that were shot on different smartphones, so you could see that it doesn't always come down to how pro your camera is, but how pro you are as a filmmaker. Let's move on to the next camera, which is basically the middle ground for those of you that have some money to spend, are willing to spend, and are ready to start learning seriously and maybe even make some money in the process. Now, the footage you're seeing right now has obviously changed because it's coming out from the Sony ZV-E10, which is an amazing little camera. You might have already come across this bad boy in your search for cameras, and the reason for that is because it's really popular. It's Sony's dedicated vlog camera. Wait a second. It even has it written on its box here. But I'd say that's rather degrading, since this camera is much more than that. Obviously it has excellent image quality, which doesn't necessarily matter when you're learning. But what does is that it has an interchangeable lens system. Although learning what different focal lengths are for is a bit more than absolute beginner level, it's good to start as early as possible nonetheless. This camera comes with the 16 to 50mm kit lens, and that way it's around $700–800. With the kit lens, I think it's a very budget-friendly price for a camera that has 4K. That's pretty much obvious for cameras nowadays. It can shoot in different picture profiles, has endless choices when it comes to lenses, very compact, good battery life, it has continuous recording, it has one of the best autofocus systems on the market, it has an APS-C sensor, obviously you can take photos with it, and it has many other features that you might not even use, such as slow motion, it can operate as a webcam when it's connected to a computer, and so on. But note that all of the cameras that I'm showing to you in this video, they represent a category of cameras. The Sony ZV-E10 represents an affordable category of regular cameras around this price range and with the same kind of knowledge and specs. So all in all, this is a camera that you can use for YouTube, but you can also make short films on it, and the quality will be top-notch. Now note that regardless of the camera you're going to get, the deal breaker will very often be the lens that you're using. And that's because the lens is the heart of the camera. Here are some cinematic videos from other creators that took this camera to the next level. Probably had noticed the change to the image quality or look of the image, and that's because now you're looking at the image coming out from the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Now note that unlike the previous two cameras, this one doesn't have autofocus. So if I'm not entirely sharp or move out of the focus, it's the camera to blame. So if you're the one who wants to do all the filming, not having autofocus is okay, and I mean doing all the filming, I mean from behind the camera. But should you want to film yourself like I'm doing it right now, whether that's starring your own film or making YouTube videos, not having autofocus will be really annoying and you'll waste a lot of time. Now the next key difference I'd like to mention is usability. For this camera to work, you'll need, well, obviously a lens, because as opposed to the previous two cameras, this in no way can come with a kit lens. But the good news is that for micro four thirds sensors, there are a lot of options when it comes to lenses. Secondly, a big external battery, because it has about 15 to 20 minutes in the little EPL6 battery that it comes with. Numero 3. You need a lot of storage space. This camera shoots in RAW formats, which is the reason why the image that comes out of this camera can be tweaked so much in post-production, but it also takes up a lot of storage space. And the list goes on, as you'll also need a cage to mount all of the accessories on. So you already have 4 extra expenses that you have to commit yourselves to, otherwise you can't really use the camera. Now currently, this camera body costs around $1,300. A cheap external battery is around $100, you can get an SSD for another $100, a cage for another $100, and there are lenses starting at around $200. But using some cheap lens on a camera that has these capabilities just makes no sense, and it makes no sense buying a camera body like this. So then you'd better invest some more money into lenses, for example to these Meike cine lenses that with the adapter all together that I'm using right now cost around $8,000. So if you do the math, you already have to commit yourself to around $2,000, $2,700 for this really simple rig. Of course, with this very setup, you can go on doing professional work and earn back the money, and also make short films that will even look good in a cinema. But since we're talking about beginning filmmaking, this option might not be the one for you, even if it's a budget option for cinema cameras. So if you don't mind, I'm going to rule this option out. But of course, if you had fallen in love with the idea of getting this camera, I won't stop you, but you'll have to do much more learning and practicing if you start out on something like this. Now we're left with the two other options, your smartphone or the Sony ZV-E10 or any other similar cameras in that price range. Now the decision will ultimately be yours. I'm just here to help, giving you my input based on my experience to help you make that decision. And one of the most important things you need to understand is that it really doesn't matter what you begin with. If you want to be a cinematographer, maybe it matters more, like I said it earlier, but in any other cases, it absolutely doesn't. I for one started out making videos on a camera that was shooting in 480p, I think. It was recording on cassette tapes. It was over 10 years ago and the footage coming out from it looked like this. But had I had a phone like this, which was clearly not possible in 2013, I would have started out making videos on that phone simply because I would already have it. Just like with that old camera that my dad already had. So to answer the title of this video, what is the best budget camera to start filmmaking? In my opinion, it is your smartphone, and not only because they can already shoot in high quality, but also because you can start right away. So as a conclusion, before you buy a camera, because I know you will, nobody can help themselves, at least start making some videos, films with your smartphone, so you'll get some knowledge and experience, and it will also help you decide whether or not you actually want to start learning it and doing it on a more serious level, or it's just not for you. Also, you'll know more about your own needs and you can save up some more money for your future camera. So after watching this video, stand up, close YouTube, close everything, and go on and start making films. And so I could help you a bit more, I'm gonna leave a link in the description with pre-generated scripts for you for different scenarios that you can record with your phone. So you could practice, so you could figure out whether or not you like it. Spend a week, 2 weeks, a month, however much time you need, practicing, experimenting. It will help you a lot in determining your next step in your journey. Now let me know in the comment section below which camera you are planning on buying and why you want to start filmmaking, and let's have a conversation there. Also, if you make the videos and films based on the scripts that I'm giving to you, leave some links in the description for me so I could see them and so we could talk about those as well. But that's all I have for you today. I hope this video was helpful and I could help you with making your decision. And if I did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, join our community. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.